American Fight League presents Southwest Brawl 8 coming up here June 30th. Joining me right now to talk about his upcoming fight is Juan Gandara. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great.
How you feeling coming off of that professional debut victory?
It was good, man. I was planning for a bit of a lengthier showdown. You know, I prepared for a stand-up fight, but it went to the ground quick, and it went my way quick, and in and out is not bad either.
I'm there calling the fight. Walk me through you getting that choke. You guys started to roll, and it looked like you immediately were able to sink the arm under the neck.
Yeah, so it started off with testing. We were testing each other with some high kicks. He landed. I landed a couple first, and then finally he landed one. But I was able to grab a hold of his leg before it got to the ground, and he and I pushed for the takedown, and he turned his back, and my arm. I initially wasn't going for the choke. I was going to try and kind of just flatten him out for more of a ground and pound, but he turned away from me. And my arm was just kind of positioned perfectly on his shoulder and under his neck and on his shoulder, like a rock climber grip. And I was able to even start choking with one arm. And as we rolled, I secured palm-to-palm choke.
What was the feeling like getting that victory under a minute, pro debut? What was that like?
I as soon as he tapped and the ref came in, actually, he tapped as we were rolling, but I wanted to make sure that the ref saw it, so I held him for a little longer. Sorry about that. I forgot his name, but to my opponent. But it was awesome, man. The crowd went wild. You know, I have a huge family. My dad has like 8 siblings, and I want to say like a majority of them were there, and their kids, all my cousins. So it was cool, man. Like the whole convention center, I felt like roared whenever I won. It was really cool seeing everyone come out and support me.
You had a goal last time I talked to you. 3 fights this year. We're heading into the second one. How close to making that proclamation a reality do you feel you are?
Good, man. I mean, I was actually, I was trying to fight right after, but I'm glad that I had a little bit of time to get some more training in, and I think it's the perfect time to get back in there. You know, I've had a little bit of rest time, and then I've gotten back to my training as usual, and I'm ready to go, man. And as soon as this one gets out of the way, I'll be just as anxious for the next one.
What's your focus?
I think that my 3 fights in a year is going to be easier feat, and I might even go for a 4th or a 5th.
What were those goals in the gym coming off of a victory in a minute? Where did you say, okay, I need to take the next step? Where?
So I definitely want to. The fight prior to this one was I went all 3 rounds, but before that I had been in short fights that ended with sub victories. So I guess a little bit of what I'm hoping to develop a little more is just kind of like, obviously I'm always going to go for the victory if it's presented to me, but I want to focus on being not only the best fighter I can be, but also performing well, giving everyone a good show, working my stand up, because I've always been pretty comfortable with my stand up, but I feel like I haven't demonstrated it in the cage, so I definitely want to maybe keep this on the feet, get some good punches and kicks in there.
Kind of wanting to let it hang out a little more, show off more skills.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you know about the opponent coming up for this next one? I got a name here, Xavier Estrada, but not much to be found on the guy.
Yeah, I haven't looked him up, to be completely honest with you. But my coach told me that he actually has one eye. I don't know if that's a thing. So I'm expecting like a Bisbing striker or something.
I didn't even know that. What I know from trying to find a record was I looked on Tapology, and I believe this is going to be his first fight in about 4 years.
Oh, really?
That's what I could find. That's what's came up when I've looked for him. But he's fought guys like Andreas Quintana, but that was
nice.
7 years
That's
ago.
interesting. I wonder what his long-term break is for. I mean, if he hasn't fought in 4 years, I wonder what his reasoning for that is.
Right, but sometimes you can't trust these MMA websites. The guy could be like, "No, I fought every year, and it's just not here." You know what I mean?
For sure.
So kind of a blank slate is what you're working with. You don't know too much about your opponent.
Right, and honestly, it's not really too big of a deal. I think it's always worked in my favor to just not worry all too much about my opponent. Usually, my corner kind of. It depends on. I've had different corners throughout the years. I've been fighting for a little while now, but some of them like to prepare a whole lot specifically for an opponent. Some are a little more laid back, like I say I am. But it's not something that worries me. I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable striking. I feel comfortable grappling. So really, kind of whatever kind of game this guy's bringing, I think I'm ready for it.
I've had some other people tell me kind of, when I get to that UFC Bellator level, then I'll worry about scouting my opponents. For right now, I'm kind of just going to work on myself. Is that kind of the mentality you're taking also?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'll never think I'm too big to look at my opponent on YouTube and check out his movement and, is he a southpaw? What kind of stuff does he like to go for? That's all valuable information and stuff that I can use to, get the victory. And I'll never be too big for that. But with that said, I am very, very confident in my own ability and my own adaptation in the cage, for whatever opponent that comes my way. There's always I've lost rounds and I've come back from them. It's just something you got to be comfortable in. I know where my holes are, and I know where my strengths are. That's more kind of the mentality with it, I guess.
So how much have you been doing to shrink those holes, to work on the aspects you feel you're weak in?
With a concise kind of schedule, I like to block out my times, just to make sure that I'm hitting every aspect of the game. I actually just got back from Austin, Texas. I was out there training with some of my old teammates out at the Dark Clan Fight Club. My old trainer just opened up that gym. I was training up at Brazilian Fight Factory, that awesome Muay Thai program up there. So I think just getting a well-rounded training and letting my teammates and my coaches expose my weak points and then working on them from there.
Has going to the gym, has looking at these fights, does it present itself differently now as you're a professional fighter?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more of an emphasis on I'm not really taking a defeat. I mean, you always take a defeat as a learning experience, right? But there's just a lot more at stake, so it's going to take a lot more for someone to come and take a victory from me, I think, as a professional.
Has it struck you yet that you're a professional athlete?
Nothing has really changed much, I guess. I'm still in there. I try to be in there every day training, and I guess it's kind of a cool title, like a pro now.
Yeah.
It's has some kind of level of respect to it.
Well, has it also struck you a little bit more that now this is a business?
Yeah, that's actually something that I've been thinking a lot about. I've like I was saying earlier, I've always been pretty laid back about just kind of let things happen, and I've noticed even now that I gotta get out there a little bit more if I want to make this a career and have the time to train 6 hours a day, sometimes plus. I have to generate income with myself, promote myself. And so that's definitely something I've been working on, and I need to definitely get better at.
Does it feel kind of awkward having to think about putting yourself out there like that? Not that you already don't go and exchange punches
Yeah.
in the face with somebody in front of people, but putting yourself even more out there for that social media kind of aspect.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I'm not like too. I've never been too. I guess I've never put myself in front of the camera too much. So that's something that definitely you want to do more as you grow. You want to interact with those that are following your career, and then so that's something that I just kind of got to do a little bit more. Also, going to sell myself for like sponsorships. Like you're kind of trying to describe why it's good for your sponsor to give you money in exchange for publicity. Trying to offer, kind of sell yourself, and that's kind of a little bit of I got to get my spiel nice and concise.
Does it feel weird? You almost talk about yourself in that third person aspect as you're selling a product almost, but you're selling yourself.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little odd sometimes. A little, you don't want to sound too arrogant, but you also want to let the sponsor know that you're valuable.
You're projecting confidence.
Exactly.
All of this going on, you got the fight coming up. Are you still working or having anything else going on, or are you just right now concentrating on the fight game?
I work every day, man. I work for my father's business. He's in the automotive industry, and he has a few shops around El Paso, Texas. So I'm working every day, regular 9 to 5, and I get my training in before and after.
Is that hard, trying to find the time to balance out your schedule with everything?
I've always kind of, as long as I can remember, I've kind of grinded like this. I've been an athlete since I was maybe like 7 or so, and I've always taken it seriously. And before it was school, when I was up at UT Austin, school was kind of my job, but all of my free time was devoted to training. So it's kind of just my trainings remained the focus, and everything else around it just facilitates my fighting. So I don't think it's not hard, but I could definitely see where in the future, once this starts generating enough income to not have to work, I see no limits to what I can achieve thereafter.
Have you found it hard to find the recovery time? Because you do need to give your body that break sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes in fact, after a long week of training, like I said, I just got back, and then I trained pretty hard with one of my teammates, Andy, who actually fought at the last fight. I feel pretty beat up today, so I took this morning off, but I'll be back at it and drilling. Whenever I feel really kind of burnt out, I'll take a day off, and if I'm just have like something a little tweaked, then I'll just. Well, I tell myself I'll go and drill and go a little lighter, But yeah, definitely, time off is I think, especially with us younger fighters, it's you don't realize how valuable time off is.
Last time I talked to you, you talked about possibly an August trip to Thailand. Is that still in the plans?
Yeah, that's still in the works. I'm still working on where my stay would be and which gym I'd be at over there, and there's some details, some kinks to work out, but that's still definitely much in the works.
Do you have a gym yet in mind? Out of, I think there's several great ones out there.
Yeah. I mean the most obvious one that I'll go to, just kind of like for tourist attraction sake, is probably Tiger Muay Thai. It's like a big brand name. But from my teammates' personal experiences, they've gone to slightly smaller gyms, which kind of offer a little bit more of a personal training aspect to them. Because I've of course I've never been, but sometimes with these bigger gyms, it's more of it's harder to get to the guys who are doing this seriously as a career, whereas in comparison to the hobbyists.
All right, so still looking to make that happen this summer. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to get some pro fights out there too, some Muay Thai fights. So if that happens, I'll definitely have some video links and stuff for that.
That was going to be another question. Is that a goal to get a fight out there to be able to compete in that environment?
Oh yeah, man, that would be awesome. I'd see where I practiced Muay Thai. I practiced Muay Thai for a couple of years with and my instructor originally trained in Thailand back in I think late '80s or early '90s, and he was there for about 2 years, and he's just a great practitioner. So he really I think he fought there a few times, and he always kind of put that idea in my head to go. I thought it'd be cool if I'd go fight out there. So that's something that I for sure want to do at least once.
Always having been taking athletics seriously, how has it kicked up a notch now as a professional endeavor?
I definitely work on my on my own time a lot more. Whereas before it was kind of like I've always kind of pushed myself whenever we have a class session going or something. But now I take my morning runs a little more diligently. I don't skip them as often as I used to. I just to work on my own, my weight training. I try to be faithful to it. That's a real big part of that I've noticed in my technique. Just being strong, it helps out so much. So I just take my personal training a little bit more seriously.
What should we be expecting from Juan Gandara at Southwest Brawl 8 on June 30th?
A showdown. I'm gonna be out there giving it all I got, throwing my strikes out there. If adapting to what my opponent does, and good luck to him because I'm coming to bring it.
All this fighting, all this working, is there anything that you've been able to enjoy outside of either fighting or working lately?
Yeah, man, my family, my lady, my friends are still here. We go out to the lake pretty often in the summertime, and I haven't been able to do that as much, but I did get out there a couple weeks ago, and I'm going back out there right after my fight. So that's kind of a bright part of the summer.
At least you're doing a little relaxing, not working too hard. Got to enjoy it all. Juan Gandara, who do you got to thank? Who do you got to shout out to?
Hey, first and foremost, I want to shout out my team here in El Paso, Texas, 10th Planet El Paso. Without them, I wouldn't be getting the training that I am, and I wouldn't be as prepared as I am going to be here in a couple weeks. I want to give a big shout out to my friends and family who have been more than supportive throughout this whole thing, and yeah, my team's out in Austin, Texas too, because they help me out whenever I ask for it as well.
We'll see everybody in Las Cruces on June 30th. Thank you for the time, sir.
Hey, thank you.